Welcome back, friends. Part 12 of Expedition 33 with the Therapist. So glad to have you here. It's nice to have piles of living folks watching this in addition to the dead folks that are in the game. So thanks for staying alive and watching this. I realized in watching back some of these videos that sometimes my voice gets drowned out by the gameplay volume. So hopefully I've made a bit of an adjustment on that. I hope it helps. And that you can hear my voice a little bit better while things are going on. So if that's been annoying to you, my apologies, but hopefully it will be better for you going forward here. And now I say that as my earphone decides it doesn't want to play nice. Do leave a thumbs up on the videos, leave a comment down below, check out the links in the description. I appreciate all of your engagement on these videos. The thing that I will continue to ask, I say this particularly to the people that are watching these videos while I'm sending them out rather than years in the future, is please don't spoil stuff. We have had to remove some comments and stuff because people are saying shit that you shouldn't be saying. When you say stuff like, DrMick, you have no idea what you're in for with this character, or I can't wait till you get to X part, or whatever, like any kind of allusions to stuff that I don't have an awareness of are not appreciated, because my ability to do what I do and create the content you enjoy is predicated on not being spoiled or told where to go or backseated. I know that I'm very rigid about this, but it's the only way that I can preserve what these playthroughs are. So I'm sorry to have to keep saying it. I know that it's a very small percentage of the people that do that. The overwhelming percentage of the people that watch these videos are very respectful of my boundaries and are very cool, and I appreciate you so much. But I got to keep making the comments because sometimes I can't read comments because there's stuff in there that I shouldn't see, and I want to read your comments. So knock it off, please. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see what's going on down here in this wild ass spot. Wow, we fell a long way. I love that it's dead silent down here. It really allows you to take it in. These bodies are like really old. You can't even see their clothes on them anymore. I mean, it really feels like all of France is essentially over here at this point. Like, wow. What have we here? Oh. Up we go. Just the whole vibe here. The tone is so good. Reminds me of playing Twilight Princess back when it first came out on GameCube, and you're like, "Ooh, this is a vibe." What it evokes from me. You think that lady back here will talk to me now? I kind of want to find out. You want to talk to me now? You may leave. I have no interest in speaking with you. Oh, John, good to see you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. It's very cool to hear that somebody. That's awesome. I'm sure you did it justice if you played it. All right. Those rocks up there kind of look like Star Destroyers to me. Like every time I look up, like it's like a Star Wars game when you have like you have Star Destroyers up there, like in Halo when you have the Covenant ships, like the dreadnoughts and stuff just hanging over the planet.
Nice.
Revive tints also give 3 AP. I love the biodiversity. We got like pine trees, we got conifers, we got. I'm trying to sound smart, but like I know what conifers are, but I forget what the other ones are. Non-coniferous. Deciduous. There we go. I knew y'all would bail me out. Just kidding, chat didn't bail me out. I thought of that myself because I knew it. Best part is, you on YouTube, you have no idea. You want to know whether I came up with that or whether chat helped me out? Maybe you should come hang out live sometime. Just saying.
Is this the place?
Yeah. We can bury your friend under this tree, if that's okay with you.
Ooh, right. It's already essentially a graveyard. Oh yeah, look at that. They've got the arm sleeves, so like there's a 65 on that. There's a 46 on this one. Like, so they got all their... Wow. 46, 46. A lot of 46s over here. $37, or maybe that's 57, 57, 57. Another 46. It's a cool little detail. He's got his own people too. They're all tired of this. It's understandable. Like, I mean, even if the way that you choose to engage grief is like looking at the highlights of somebody's life and remembering the things you loved about them and all these sorts of things, it doesn't change the fact that loss is still something that profoundly affects people. It's hard to have access to something and then have that access taken away. And death is a really profound version of that. So, and then the constant reminders of that experience when other deaths or losses happen, it will take its toll. It's almost impossible not to. So Verso looking at this, like, can there be a desensitization to it? To some extent, but you're talking about very unique subjective experiences with people and things that come along with memories that we are really wired to engage more with more oomph than with like objects. So, you know, the loss of your dirt bike might hurt because you crashed it or something, or it just ran out of, it's no longer viable. That might hurt. You got good memories with it, but we're not really wired to get super connected to things like that as we are to other humans. And so the loss of that has a profoundness to it that's more complicated oftentimes. And there's a lot, it makes these moments tough. So, yes, we are laying Gustav to rest. We're honoring his memory. This is a meaningful ritual. Rituals can be a very important part of the grief process, by the way. There's nothing wrong with having them. It gives people some semblance of control. I mean, the reality is these things are about the living more than they are the dead. I mean, the Gustav is not here to appreciate the burial of his arm, as far as we know, right? Like, this is for the people who are alive. So whatever ritual you want to take into that and carries meaning for you and will make your grief process something that's more palatable, that is what you should engage with. Like, it's okay to be like, I think this person would have wanted this, or to honor somebody's wishes, but ultimately this is something that's going to be tough, even if it's a meaningful thing, even if it's the perfect ritual. It's a notch in the belt of grief. And it's just so complicated, especially when you watch groups deal with this. And Verso's got his own stuff going on. And I am particularly personally fascinated or interested in the fact that Verso is not engaged enough with the group and doesn't have enough rapport that he can share that experience, maybe even in the way that he might want to. It's either he might want to engage this more, but is worried about stepping on everybody's toes because he's not like one of them, at least not directly. Or he is so tired of this because he's been doing it for 100 years and like having to do this again is just unbearable for him. But his experience juxtaposed against theirs is very interesting because he is sort of like solo while there's a bit of a grouping here. And which one's better or worse? It depends on the person. Anyway.
Couldn't wait for me, could you? I wish we could.
Rest easy, Gustav.
I'll finish what you started. The paintress, Renoir, they will pay.
No more dome. Just open skies.
I'll save them, Gustav. Emma, your apprentices, everyone.
You can leave it to us. You were always there for me.
I'll save them.
Say hi to Soph for me, yeah?
We could never tell if you were my brother or my father. But to me, you were both. Best brother and father I've ever had.
I know, I'm sorry to pause this, but I'm going to get my thoughts out while this is all going on, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So the label here of like brother or father, I couldn't figure out which one, but it's kind of both, and I don't know what blah blah blah. Like the label there doesn't actually matter. This is not something I would say to Mael right now, by the way. Like, I'm not gonna pop in and go, Mael, whether he's brother or father doesn't matter. Like, I'm not doing that. But for our purposes, I tend to look at these things through the lens of attachment. Now, I think I've mentioned this in this playthrough before, but if you are interested in hearing me talk about attachment, I have a video that is like 2 hours long. It might even be longer than that here on YouTube that you can watch from a while back, but the information's still good, about attachment theory. Now, attachment is a theory. It's not a law, but it is something that has it's got some pretty strong bearing in terms of like it's observable and people have been able to run whatever. I'm not going to bore you with that, but essentially what Mael lost is an attachment figure, perhaps her primary attachment figure. And the very brief rundown on attachment here is that when you are young, your attachment is developed via the way that your caregivers, often parents, not always, but your caregivers, the extent to which those people are consistent and reliable in meeting your needs, both when you make a bid to have your needs met and just in general, even if it's not directly communicated. And that consistency and reliability, what that does is it creates kind of this internal sense that if I have needs, I can trust that people will meet them for me. I can sort of internalize this idea, one, that people will meet them and that I am worthy of having my needs met. And as you go through your life and sort of grow into adulthood, that attachment style is something that will affect some of your relationships. And what an attachment figure essentially is for somebody is the thing or person that you seek proximity to in times of adversity. So that can be emotional adversity, that can be like actual crisis, it could be any of these things. It's the person that you want to seek physical proximity to. In childhood, you see like children will literally try to bring themselves closer to their caregiver. In adults, it's a little bit more complicated. Essentially, Gustav is Mael's primary attachment figure. And the really, really hard part about like breakups and death is that you lose your attachment figure at a time that you are experiencing immense stress. So Mael is in what we would call attachment chaos right now, or disruption, because she is feeling this immense pain, is going through all of this stress, and the person she wants to seek proximity to and have be stable, consistent, reliable is not available to her. The only version of him that's available to her is the internalized one, which, as we've talked about in previous episodes, is incomplete, is not the same. So her pain right now is probably incredibly strong in the way that, like, when people experience breakups, it's an incredibly strong experience because of that attachment component. Now, I have zero interest right now in what Mael's attachment style is. I can't even remotely theorize about that because I don't know enough about the relationship she has with Gustav. I know people are going to want to comment and be like, Dr. Mick, what attachment style does she have? I have no idea. You don't know either. Nobody here knows. I'm, for all intents and purposes, an attachment expert, and I have no way of knowing what it is. We would find that out via interactions with Gustav, interactions with other people, how she takes in care, who she pursues, how she pursues. Like, there's all sorts of information that we need in order to try to make that judgment. The one thing that I will say is that if you do not have a secure attachment style, you can get there. You can move from a avoidant or anxious or disorganized attachment style towards secure, but unfortunately you can't do it alone because it requires that you have figures that you transfer that attachment to in like adulthood that are consistent and reliable. And if you don't have that, it's hard to shape that. Like, attachment doesn't happen just by input. It also happens via response, which is kind of one of the systemic complications of it. So anyway, the point that I want to make here is that brother or father doesn't matter. She's lost her attachment figure. And that is activating her in a particular kind of way. And it will be interesting to see what she does with the loss of that as we continue through this. Where does she send that energy? Does she send it to her internalized version of Gustav? She's kind of doing that right now by like talking to him. Or does she find it in herself? Does she find it in a thing? Does she find it in her like the protocol? Like, there's any number of things that she might transfer that over to. It'll be interesting to see. So, anyway, if you want to learn more about that in a lot more depth, watch that video.
When one falls, we continue.
Thanks for being my family. See you in the next life.
It's wild to do that with all these dead bodies around here. Shared experience that none of these people really want to have. I gotta say, I appreciate Esquier's ability to read the room. Excellent. He's a goofball, but he knows when to lock it up. Back at camp.
For about 2 hours. Then there's a big lake. We shouldn't go there at all. We should make a right, and then it's gonna take a few hours, and then we make a stop. We get some rest and some food. And then from there, we head north to Monoko Station.
Why there?
To recruit my oldest friend. We'll need the extra firepower, because our next goal will be to take down the Paintress Heart.
Her heart?
Yes. You can't just stroll up to the Paintress. The chroma there is far too dense. It erases anyone who gets close. But if we destroy her heart, the barrier will fall.
Okay. So where is this heart? What does it look like?
What it looks like, that I don't know. But I do know that it's somewhere in the center of old Lumiere.
You found old Lumiere?
Yes.
So it's true. Before the fracture, our Lumiere was part of a larger city on the continent.
I've traveled with many expeditions. I was with the 58th when we found old Lumiere. But Renoir erased them before we could get further. And I don't know much more.
A question I would have, if I was them, might be, why hasn't Renoir killed you? Just wondering. I mean, it sucks that this dude just keeps rubbing everybody out, but like, how is it that you have managed to make it? I don't ask that from really a place of skepticism, so much as like real, genuine curiosity about the space we occupy. Like, this is really good information. I appreciate your willingness to share it. I'm glad that you're helping us. You've seen countless expeditions go south. You've helped all of them. What has led to their failures? Is it Renoir every time? Why doesn't he kill you if you're actively trying to help these people? That is a thing that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure we might figure it out at some point, but right now that would be a primary question I have about Verso. I want to know that.
All right then. Let's go meet your friend at Monoko Station. And then we'll take the Paintress's heart.
I do understand that he's immortal. Maybe that means he can't be killed. But he interacts with Renoir and is allowed to move about the space openly. And I would think that if this guy, if Verso, is acting in a way that is antithetical to the wants and needs of Renoir, Renoir would find a way to hold him down. Like, you could spend your immortality in a cage, in a rock tomb. Like, there's plenty of things. Like, you could get chained to a ball and thrown to the bottom of the ocean. Like, Verso still runs free and engages with Renoir. So so Renoir has some level of distinction that he makes between, and I'm not trying to anticipate what Renoir's agenda is here because I don't know him. But what I've seen of him just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, it doesn't come from a place of like, I think you're pulling one over on us, but I would want the answer to that question. And ostensibly, that's a question that Renoir has the answer to. Even if he said, oh, he tries. Every time I run into him, he tries to kill me. He just can't. So he's decided to just let me frolic, and then he just ruins my day by killing every expedition that I try to help. Okay, right? Like, I just want the information. That's all. And that dude's got it. More than we do. I find it so interesting too from just a game development standpoint that in these moments we assume the role of Verso. Like, they didn't transfer us over to Mael. Gave us Verso.
How far up the mountain is Minoko Station? Will we see snow?
Not too high, but yeah, there's usually snow.
Fantastic.
Oh, right. There's no snow in Lumiere.
No, only in books and paintings. It's almost as mythical as Gestrels.
And just as fun. And sometimes just as deadly.
Oh. Really? My husband was obsessed with the idea of snow. I can't wait to see some.
So if you had any thoughts about coming on to me, don't. I don't think that's the intention of her saying that. It's just funny. She slipped the boyfriend into the conversation. I don't mean to hijack a nice moment there. It's just, that's immediately where my brain went. Is like, oh, she put the boyfriend in the conversation. No, actually, that's kind of cool. We get to learn a little bit about her. She had a husband that was obsessed with the idea of snow, and now she gets to see some. And that may be something that's meaningful in terms of the memory she carries with him. But
That you will.
you want to spend time with Sciel? Yeah. Why not? Verso approaches Sciel, who seems open to talking.
You seem less stressed than the others.
Is that your conclusion? After your extensive observation of our team?
Yes.
There must be better uses of your time than analyzing our stress levels.
That's an interesting statement. There must be better uses of your time than analyzing our stress levels. If I'm Verso, my response to that is, what do you mean by that? Because if you like take that sentence for what it is, one, she is assuming that he has more important things to do that he should be engaging. And two, it sort of diminishes the importance of their stress levels. Like, it's kind of an interesting statement. Like, analyzing our stress levels is not particularly important. I would argue that it is, because if we're gonna roll together, I got to know what I'm working with. So for somebody who seems to be so attentive to the experiences of others, it is interesting to me that she says that. Like, this is me being way out in left field, but like, I talk about this all the time, right? Like, I look for patterns so that I can see pattern disruptions. Pattern generally with Sciel is a placing of importance on the stress levels of the people around her and an attentiveness to it. And then when she talks to Verso, he's like, there's got to be better uses of your time than analyzing our stress levels. It's a diminishment of the importance and sort of an elevation of Verso focusing on things that she would deem to be more important. And I just, again, it might be nothing. This might be her just sort of like poking at him, sure. But if she's just poking at him, it's kind of boring, right? Like, but if there's actual meaning there, I would be curious. Like, if I'm Verso, I'm going, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, it's important to understand your teammates.
Says the mysterious stranger who has yet to share much about himself.
Fair point.
Then consider this my attempt to be less mysterious.
Nice.
Oh, is that what this is?
I'll trade you. A story for a story. Quite fair, I think.
Well, there are stories, and then there are stories.
My thoughts exactly, buddy.
You first, then.
Something unusual then? Strange wonders and mysteries?
A bit impersonal, hmm? Not really how you get to know each other. I don't think that's worthy of a trade.
Something tells me she was going to say that no matter what he said.
No. Tell me something dark and melancholy and personal.
So, despite the fact that this is like kind of Matador and Bull right now, the point that I can make on this is illustrating kind of nicely. The pathway to intimacy, the yellow brick road to the Emerald City of intimacy, is paved with self-disclosure. So if you are a person that generally wonders why intimacy is hard for you to have with people, you might ask yourself, to what extent does self-disclosure play a role in the engagements you have with people? And the art of self-disclosure is not an exact science, because there are some people that disclose too much too soon for the particular person they're engaging with. And for many people, too much self-disclosure too soon gets them kind of like, ah, because that is like a pushing for intimacy that you may not be ready for whatever subjective reason that is. And there are other people that withhold self-disclosure, and that really cuts into their ability to connect with folks. So the art of self-disclosure and how people move their way through that is how people weave their little blanket of intimacy or whatever colors and fabric and tensile strength and stuff it's going to have. What I appreciate about Sciel here is she's like, nope, I want something that's actually got some meat on the bone, because if we're going to connect, that's how you're going to connect with me, is you're going to get in there. You're going to be real with me. And if that's what she needs, cool. He doesn't have to oblige, but I appreciate her directness here, especially since they don't know each other well enough to be able to pick up on subtle cues. Don't waste time with that. If you got something direct you need from somebody, especially when you first meet them early on, say it.
Ooh, going straight for the heavy stuff, huh?
If we're going to share, let's share.
God, there's so much going on, man. This is great. Okay. Because there was something I was going to say earlier and I didn't say it, and now I want to say it because of what is happening here. Oh, God. All right. So, and this is what you guys come here for, so it's fine. All right, so. Systems and equilibrium is something that we've talked about. Homeostasis. When Gustav died, the equilibrium of the system was thrown off, because Gustav, for all intents and purposes, was the leader role in the group. He was the one that was ultimately consulted with. He had a tendency to make the calls on stuff, and so that role was pulled out of the group. And the group of Mael, Sciel, and Lune did not have the opportunity really to forge a new homeostasis in the absence of Gustav, which would have likely meant that one of them would have started to fill that role. Instead, Verso showed up, and the gap was there, and honestly, it's more convenient for the system to allow him to fill that hole than it is for one of them to change their role. And so Verso has inadvertently become sort of a leader of the group. right? Like he's sharing information. Luna's asking him questions. They're kind of deferring to him on the direction that they're going to go. Yes, he has more information, but ultimately he very nicely slipped in to that role in the group and has inadvertently, I don't think he's necessarily taken it on purpose, but they've allowed him to do that, and it makes things go back to. However, when you get into the nuanced experience of that, he is not Gustav. So now you've allowed somebody into this space that is a different person who you have a different connection with. And that can create some tension, particularly in a one-on-one scenario like this. That's the part that I was going to mention and then decided not to, but now I've mentioned it. The reason I say this is because Sciel is taking control of that here. So there is something vulnerable about that for Sciel. And in this conversation, it started with Verso taking control of the conversation and kind of having that role, and Ciel's like, as far as you and I are concerned, I'm going to control the engagement. And I would guess that there is a degree of intention in that, whether conscious or not, for her, because it sort of staves off the intensity of having somebody fill that role who you don't have the same level of trust for that you did Gustav. This is systems theory 101 as it relates to, like, this is the very core of what I was taught and am oriented around as a marriage and family therapist. Like, systemic theory is the entire foundation that my discipline is set on. And so this whole idea of a disruption in the system and then him just sort of conveniently showing up at a time that allows him to fill a hole so that the system doesn't have to reorient itself and can instead reestablish its established homeostasis, it's textbook shit right here. If he hadn't shown up, then what would have happened was the system would have had to try to figure that out. And it probably would have, like, tripped and stumbled upon itself for a while people tried to fill it out. My guess is that Lune would have taken over. But she would have become like Gustav proxy. But it is always more convenient for a system to assume what it's already used to than it is for it to get established around something new. It takes a lot of effort to do that. And people generally avoid that effort. Not for any, like, bad reasons, but just because it's more labor intensive. Sort of like how if you get braces on your teeth, it changes the system of your teeth, but your orthodontist will tell you, like, why do you have to wear a retainer? It's because as soon as you get your braces off, what do your teeth try to do? They don't go, ooh, we love this new alignment. They go, let's go back to where we were, even though we've had braces for 3 years. That's why you have to wear a retainer and stuff. It's why when people don't wear it, their teeth start to go back. I say this as a person who wore braces. It's the same kind of concept. That system wants to go back to what it was before it wants to maintain something new. He's essentially the retainer. Well, no, he's the agent that sent them back to, like, what they were. Sorry. The retainer would have been if Lune stepped up and popped it in. It's a stupid metaphor, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, this is Systems 101. This is the kind of stuff that my brain's always thinking about in the back end when I'm working with clients, particularly client systems. It's not something that I'm necessarily explaining to clients or, like, making an obvious part unless it needs to be. But this is the theoretical underpinning of a lot of this stuff. So seeing Sciel try to kind of grasp some control here tells me that there's some discomfort with the fact, there's tension with the fact that he filled this gap but is not actually Gustav.
Story for a story, right?
And you would do well, friends, to pay attention to many power dynamics that happen, because power is ever present. There is no such thing as full egalitarianism. There is always a bouncing little meter of power in every interaction you ever have. And sort of understanding where it sits at any given point in time can help you really understand the context you're engaging.
We'll see.
Right? So, story for a story, right? And she goes, we'll see. So she's now becoming slippery in the sense that, like, he can't quite figure out where she's going to go. This is her controlling this engagement. Verso and Sciel spend the next few minutes arguing whether Sciel should also share. Sciel continues to tease Verso, who remains evasive. Verso and Sciel's relationship grows a little bit. Oh, I want to see that! Relationship level increased. I really hope that doesn't mean intimate relationship, because I don't really have much interest in a romantic relationship here. I want the stories, man. Oh, show me, don't tell me. They head back to the others. I get it. Games are expensive. It's a lot to make, but like, oh, man. I just got blue balls.
How far up the mountain?
Not too high. Oh, right.
No.
And just as...
Oh, my husband was...
Your oldest friend is a Gestrel.
Yes. We've been friends for as long as I can remember.
Gustav would have loved that.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad she just said that, because this is a point that I wanted to make. Like way back. In therapy, in systems therapy, one of the core components that, again, we talk about is you have what's called the direct system, and then you have the indirect system. In the context of therapy, the direct system is who you are immediately engaging with. So if you have a family of 5 and 4 of the people show up to a session, your direct system are the 4 people that are in the room with you, that you have the ability to actually exert some degree of influence on. The indirect system is anybody who is not there, who the direct system may interface with outside the context of your sphere of influence. The indirect system is not always alive. Gustav is an ever-present part of the indirect system who sits in this kind of weird membrane of like, he's there, but he's not physically there, but he's still, from like a object and projection standpoint, he is there. So like Gustav is this like everybody's internalized projected version of Gustav exists in this space still. And Verso is subjected to that, but does not have any ability to connect with it because he didn't know Gustav. So like when Lune says Gustav would have loved that, she's essentially highlighting the fact that like Gustav is still an ever-present force, and their ideas about what Gustav would or would not want to do, which are actually their biased versions of what they think Gustav would want to do or whatever, that they're projecting onto their internalized object, it's a whole other thing. That is still existent here, and Verso has to kind of like walk through the sludge of what that is. It makes things very complicated, and this happens oftentimes after people die without people realizing it. It's like, you realize that that person's still in the room, kinda. You're just not calling attention to it. And sometimes as a therapist, you have to bring that attention of like, they're kind of direct systeming us right now, but it's your projection of them.
Why? Because he liked Gestrels.
Because he liked the idea of friendships that could last decades. We don't get to enjoy such long friendships in Lumiere.
You want to spend time with Lune? Yes. Lune intercepts Verso as he walks by the fire.
Why are you allying yourself with us?
Not a lot of options out here, in case you hadn't noticed.
What about the previous expeditioners? Did you help them too? Yet they still failed.
That's a terrible way to ask questions. Do you always interrogate people like this?
Oh man. Okay, this is so good because I have to give the devs credit here, because so many of the things that I think I'm going to say and then maybe hold myself back from saying, and I'm like, all right, give them a second, then I end up needing to say it anyway. So it's great because this is structured in a way that's very nice. So the thing I'm going to say now is these interactions are always fascinating because there is a relativity component to how you handle moments like this. Verso has no context for Lune outside of the several, like the hours that he has spent with her. He doesn't even have as much context for Lune as we do. We know Lune better than he does. And it's an important part of this observation because Lune's questions and her pointing out that, like, oh, you tried to help them, but they failed, are not actually personal attacks to him. I don't think. I would not interpret them that way. They are direct, they are observant, but her reactions more often than not are not to people, but to frustration about like blockages to the protocol, blockages to learning more. So I don't actually think that was a personal shot at him, but he reads it that way because he does not possess the context of a relationship with Lune that he could filter that in a more correct way. And the reason that I bring this up is because if you are a person who is going to put yourself in situations where you're going to talk to folks who are new, whether you're dating or looking for new friends or whatever, it is deeply important that you understand that the subtleties of how you bring yourself to a situation are not going to be accurately understood by the people that you engage with. Verso is not going to understand that the bite you put in that question is not about him. He's going to likely react in the way that he does unless you maybe provide some extra context. I'm not blaming Lune for this, but it's an important thing for both of them to understand. The way that he engages with her is another thing. He, a couple times, I mean, even my first reaction to him when he first showed up at the camp, he throws the arm and goes like, well, that's some way to thank me. And he does the same thing. You know, it's a terrible way to ask questions. Do you always interrogate people like this? He may also be expressing himself in a way that is not offensive at all, but it comes off that way because we don't know him very well. And so much miscommunication happens, particularly early on in relationships, because people don't have context. This is exactly why people are assholes to each other on social media and why people misread stuff all the time, because you don't possess context. As soon as you understand a person even remotely more than another person, you will give that person more often than not the benefit of the doubt in terms of like willingness to justify or explain something. We are infinitely more likely to side with Lune in this than we are Verso because we've known Lune longer. Because we have more context. Context is so deeply important for interactions, and the only way that you gain context, the most important thing in moments like this, if you are truly trying to connect with somebody, is self-awareness and benefit of the doubt is so important because it will help you gain the level of intimacy and context you need in order to start recognizing patterns and understanding your audience. So it's really interesting to watch this happen here and to have that experience.
Given the circumstances, I think we can skip the pleasantries, no?
This is, again, you feel each other out. This is how you do it. You feel people out through communicating with them.
Alliances are usually give and take, as are conversations. Trust goes both ways, no?
All right then. As a gesture of good faith, I'll show you how to use Lumina.
No need. I got it.
Oh, Sciel did a better job grabbing control than Lune is.
Well, aren't you a quick study?
But I appreciate the gesture. Thank you.
Ah, there you go. You saved it.
Mm-hmm. Trust works both ways.
All right, as a gesture of good faith.
Right. As a gesture of good faith. I'll answer 3 questions. Choose wisely.
Okay.
Only 3.
Someone's a bit greedy.
3 questions with 3 follow-ups.
You're really pushing this.
Do you want intimacy or not, man? She's going along with it. She's like, yeah, sure. I'll ask 3 questions. I get 3 follow-ups. Great. Hit me. They've got their guards up still. I mean, they're looking at each other. They're like Home Improvement when Wilson looks at Tim Allen over the fence. That's what they're doing right now.
I think it's reasonable.
All right. Go for it.
Oh, come, man. This is, oh, God. Lune spends time bombarding Verso with questions. Verso remains evasive, which pisses Lune off, but also triggers her insatiable sense of curiosity. Lune is reluctantly intrigued, as is Verso. Boo. Boo. Oh, when the interrogation's over, they go back to the others. Now we get to deal with Sciel.
How come Minoko lives so far from the other Gestrels?
Minoko's a searcher. They travel the land looking for Gestrels who went missing after the fracture.
The lost Gestrels.
Yeah. That and he, pissed off Golgra.
How come...
Minoko
Oh,
just...
we don't get to connect
Yeah.
with Sciel. Esquia's like,
That was sad.
Yeah.
Why do they gloss over the meaty bits? I don't know the answer to this, but I could throw a hypothesis. And if there are any game devs that answer this and want to, let me know what your thought process was, I'd love to talk about this with you. But it's actually really hard. Like what they described, actually scripting that out is incredibly difficult to do. And is actually the kind of thing where when I say in the credits section of any game I ever play, hello game devs, if you ever need a consultant to help you with stuff like this, hi, I'm here. I would love to do it. Because it's really hard. It's a lot easier to say the process of what happened and then let us kind of fill the gaps in with our brains than it is to like write that out in a way that lands the way that you intend. So I can understand why they would avoid doing that. And I can empathize with how difficult that is to do. And also, like, that's exactly where I would love to insert myself in game development if I ever had the opportunity. Because if you're like, here's the vibe we want to get, here's the process we're trying to show, I would be more than happy to help you do that. And feel very confident that I could.
You were sad.
Yeah.
You were thinking of Julie.
Oh, dude. I love it. He's just like, you were sad, bro. You're thinking about Julie, huh?
Not just her, but... yeah.
Want a hug?
Yeah. I do.
Nice. Hell yeah, let's spend some time with Esquia.
She reminds me of someone.
This is interesting. Because which one... Where did your brains go when he said that? If you're... This is either an unbelievably brilliant question from Esquia, or he just got lucky. Because here's the beauty of this question. When you don't say who, you get so much information about who he fills the blank in with. So if he goes, oh, if he starts talking about Sciel, then you go, ah, our boy's thinking about Sciel. She's running on his mind. She's the one that, whatever. She pings some sort of whatever. Like, him being intentionally obscure there is really cool because he can get so much information here from how he says this. Now, to be honest, my first thought on this was Mael. And it was not Sciel. My first thought was Mael because Mael kind of looks like possibly that chick with white hair. And so, but he also vibes with Sciel. But my first thought was Mael. But then also whoever Julie is, I don't know who Julie is. So I'm going to say Mael because that's where I went. And I want to see what happens with Sciel.
Who? Well.
Have I met her before?
Well, you also thought you knew Sciel.
Oh, but I do. Wait, don't I?
What? You're the one who says all humans seem the same to you. Sometimes I feel like you know everyone.
You're the one who says all humans seem the same to you.
Oh, well. That's because you're all cousins. Same, but different.
Right, so maybe it's that.
Yes. Ah, just like Verso is Verso's cousin. Mael is Mael's cousin. Yes, that's it.
He is so awesome as a character. Whoever thought of this, I want to shake your hand. I freaking love this thing.
You're so very wise.
I just want to talk to him forever.
You know, that almost makes sense to me.
It's okay if you don't understand, Verso. You're still wise to me.
You're just a big ball of nonsense sometimes, aren't you?
That's why we're best friends.
Sciel and Verso have fun talking to each other a bit more. Their bond grows. I do find it interesting that Mael is not available. Everybody else is available, not Mael. They talk a bit more nonsense before going back to the others. My cat is literally holding my hand right now. Oh, I love you so much. How am I supposed to play the game when you're gonna hold my hand like that? Oh, I love you. I can hear Creed playing from this cave over here. On the faceless man. The curator offers you his services. I have 72 Lumina. I don't even, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably told me this. I have no idea what this is doing. Absolutely no idea. So we're just gonna put everybody at 41 because that's my favorite number, and we're gonna just call it a day. All right. Upgrade weapons. Oh, yeah, I definitely. This is a very nice weapon. All right, thanks, faceless man. I have to walk a long walk. My cat's looking at me like, shut the hell up, dude.
Kira se wo.
You found some of my kids.
Biboture
Which reward should I
kola
give you?
Mamoro
Oh, this
tomo
should be
nomo
useful.
momo.
Here. Yeesh. I just love these paintbrush hairdos. We'll say, was my favorite Creed song. I listened to Creed in the early 2000s. So did you. Faceless Man is a banger. No, I didn't. I didn't listen to Creed. I prefer Nickelback. Right in the Journal of Gustav's Apprentices. Oh! Oh God, that is a tough one. I would want to ask, do I headcanon that he asked permission first? Cause whoa. I'm gonna headcanon that he asked the group, like, hey man, I've got this journal. But he was holding it and he didn't give it to, oh man, oh, that's tough. I'm gonna, because I have to headcanon this if I'm gonna do it. If I am gonna headcanon it, it's gonna be that Verso said to Sciel, I saw that he kept this journal. I see that he's writing the people behind him. Would you be okay with me continuing that process? And that she said, sure, go for it. But, whoa. I want the content from it, so I'm going to headcanon this. But boy, if that didn't happen, I would not do this. Sciel finds a spot where she can write. Ah! Whew. Okay. He spends some time writing in Gustav's journal to honor his memory. I really wish they would have, like, said, have Sciel do this. Because, oh my God, it feels so much better. Oh my God. She gathers her courage and writes about Gustav's sacrifice, how he laid the trail. She hopes Gustav's apprentices will read this journal someday. Oh. All right. Check up on the others.
What are you working on?
Contingency plans. If we fail, Expedition 32 will need every bit of information we have.
Right, but how are you going to get it to them?
I asked the Gestrals for help.
Smart.
What are the stars whispering to you?
Actually, I'm the one whispering to them.
Oh?
It's something my dad and I used to do. When I was scared, or anxious, or even when I was happy, he'd say, share it with the stars. When it's hard to talk about things, the stars will understand.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Ooh. Okay. So, when we talk about primary attachment figures in childhood, how to facilitate formative attachment. These are the types of things that happen. Dad, attachment figure, consistent, reliable, my guess, gives her a ritual that she can engage that is consistent and reliable in times of adversity. So as an adult, when she's experiencing anxiety and worry, sadness, which, by the way, this entire conversation is a window into understanding that that's what's going on for Sciel right now, she talks to the stars. And what that does from a Gestalt perspective is it essentially brings her dad from the background to the ground, meaning from the back of her subconscious to her conscious. So her internalized object, attachment figure father, is essentially laying on the ground with her while she talks to the stars via a ritual. And that is a perfectly healthy thing to do. At least in this circumstance where she's like safe to do it. If she becomes like super rigid and obsessive about it and it's detrimental to her relationships, maybe not so good. But in this moment, it's really nice to see that she has this thing that she can engage that provides her comfort amidst the discomfort. And having those types of rituals, they don't have to be tied to attachment figures, but having that tied to an attachment figure can make it all the more effective. And folks who are lucky enough to have attachment figures that provide some of those consistent statements that are in the direction of helping you facilitate your own self-soothing, which is also what that is. I have to say, from like a really sophisticated standpoint, the cool thing about that ritual is it's something that Sciel can do in the absence of her father. It's not a reliance on her father for the soothing. It's a ritual she can engage on her own to engage her own self-soothing, which is a very important part of anxiety management, that you don't just externalize that out. Like you can't just send that out to everybody else and expect them to neutralize your anxiety for you. Like having your way of managing that and reducing it is an important skill to learn when we're talking about anxiety management, whether we're talking about like clinically significant anxiety or just everyday anxiety. So there's a lot of layers to why that's very cool. But you can use this as a way to understand that when she's laying there talking to Lune, she's experiencing some of those things that she just named that her father told her to release to the stars when she was experiencing it. That doesn't mean the anxiety goes away, by the way. It just means that it's managed to an extent. She engages a sense of control at a time where she is anxious, and it can mitigate it to a point that it's workable for her. And that's an important part of it.
I like that.
Me too.
I talked to the stars a lot after he was gone.
I remember.
For all the reasons we talked about earlier, right? Lose your attachment figure, time of distress, all of that stuff. Just want to make sure I reiterate that like that falls right in line with what we talked about an hour ago.
The night we first met. At the Crooked Tower.
Right. After the Gommage.
I was surprised to find you there. I thought I was the only one who knew about that room.
I had to get away from the harbour. And those damn petals everywhere. So I climbed up.
It wasn't logical. But part of me really believed my parents and their expedition had succeeded. That they'd stopped her. Then the paintress woke. And I knew they weren't coming home.
You know, meant a lot to me. The comfort we shared that day. But you avoided me after. Why?
It wasn't personal. I cut a lot of people out of my life.
Okay, not personal.
That day, I knew my parents had failed. They were counting on me to finish their work. I couldn't afford distractions.
Friends are not distractions.
I know that now.
Wow. We're in the middle of nowhere with 1 year left to live. What better time to build friendships?
I could use some wine, though.
Making friends is thirsty work.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Sciel is in her wheelhouse here. What I love is that their learned experiences, some of which were like kind of thrust upon them, some of which were perceived by them in a particular type of way, rear their heads in how they talked about like how they've handled things. So the story we hear about Sciel in her formative years and her parents is my dad would encourage me to be present with my emotions and speak to them, sort of like release them into the space. And Lune's parents, she saw and seemingly admired, were task driven. They went on the expedition. She wanted to believe that they were successful in their mandate. And what do we see in how they show up in the space? Lune follows protocol. Lune tries to engage logic. Lune is thinking about what the mission is and what the mandate is. And Sciel is like, come lay down on the ground and let's be friends. And again, neither one is right or wrong. Like it's not that we don't have to compare them. There's a beauty to it. But the real beauty is the way in which the two of them find a way here to like coexist in that. And I give Lune a lot of credit because she could have kept going. But there is a gravitas to Sciel. And this is the case generally in real life too. There's a gravitas to people who engage the present effectively. And there is an allure to that. And sometimes people are very afraid of that because engaging the present is intense. A lot of people live either 2 steps ahead or 2 steps behind, but have a very hard time sitting in the actual moment they're in. And so when you're with somebody who engages the moment they're in, it can be distressing. But Lune is able to like kind of look past that and say, okay, I'm going to lay down here and engage this moment. And that comes from, she said, I've learned now that friends are important and all this stuff, but like, it's just a very cool moment of connectivity for them. And Sciel doesn't push it, right? She lets Lune come to her and she doesn't like turn toward her and make direct eye contact or anything like that. She lets Lune look up in the sky. They look over at each other every once in a while. Like they have space between them. Like there is a really nice ebb and flow of closeness and distance here. And I just love the reference to their younger years and what they saw from their parents, and how that has in some ways created some level of organizing principle for them as they navigate this space on their own. Very cool stuff. These are the types of neat family of origin connections you can make, and then make decisions about whether that's something you like and want to continue to perpetuate. Very cool. I gotta say, man, I don't have to fish very hard in this game. That's a good thing. There are some games where I gotta really dig in. I gotta fish for stuff. I gotta really get into left field to try to make certain things happen. This game illustrates a lot of stuff very nicely. I appreciate it so much. Why is there chocolate on my chair? Don't love that. Okay. Oh, or checking up on the others. Mael quietly approaches Luna. Oh my god, we're gonna be here all night. Wanting to apologize for her behavior on their way to bury Gustav.
Hey.
Hey.
I didn't mean...
It's fine.
I just...
I miss him too.
It's hard.
The pain we feel every time we lose someone. I've tried many ways of dealing with it. Running from it, sitting with it, compartmentalizing it. But what I needed was to use it. To use everything.
I love this. I want to know, the question I always have when I play games like this, if I ever get to talk to developers, is did you do this on purpose? Oh. Okay, so homeostasis. I need you to have that in your mind because it's happening here and it's just so wonderful to watch. Mael has a reaction to the death of Gustav and to all the death around her, and she expresses that to the group. She has some sense that her attention to the present and to the death around them rather than to navigating the mission amidst it, she has a sense that that's something that she is supposed to apologize for, which suggests that there is some level of should have done something else in there. And when she experiences this sense that she has something to apologize for to the way that she handled in the group, she goes to Lune, which is who I would have hypothesized would have taken the Gustav role had Verso not shown up. And it tells me that Mael sees Lune as some sort of authority figure that is supposed to be the receipt of apology when she does something that is not in alignment with what the group's directive is. But to take it a layer deeper than that, you may ask you, okay, so Mael's having a hard time. She's emotional. She feels like she has to apologize, all this stuff. She didn't go to Sciel, the one who tends to be much more emotionally available. I understand why she wouldn't go to Verso, but she didn't go to Sciel. She went to Lune. She went to Lune, who is a person who tends to compartmentalize, engage logic, engage explanation. Why? Because of homeostasis. She got the response from Lune that she would have probably gotten from Gustav, which is one of no questions. Let me explain to you something. Let me pontificate on what you're bringing to me. Let me provide you with some level of my experience that you could potentially draw from or feel connected to. Which means that there's something about that she liked and got from Gustav. And she wants that in this moment. And Lune is the most likely to give it. And I'm not even saying that she's consciously doing that, which is why I really want to know if this was developer intention, because this is like perfect. This is like, bring this to a class and use this as an example of the subtle ways in which people snap to homeostasis after somebody dies. Find the proxy that is most likely to engage you in the way that you are used to being engaged from your attachment figure in a time of distress. It's great. I'm watching this and I'm like, Lune is reacting exactly the way that Gustav would. She's saying all the kind of shit that Gustav would. I'm like, Mael apparently needs that and finds comfort in it, and that's fine. It's a consistent, reliable response from somebody that she trusts. And Lune is the proxy for Gustav for her. So cool, man. I love it. I still want Lune to ask questions of Mael the way that I wanted Gustav to, but that's way inconsequential relative to this really cool, neat process that's just been illustrated here for us. She didn't go to the person who's likely to bring her in and put her arm around her and tell her to be emotional and it's okay to engage it. She went to the person who's going to put a little distance there. Maybe because she respects it. Maybe because it's something about Gustav that she really admired. Who knows? But it's certainly similar to the process she was used to when she was distressed about stuff. And she sought proximity to it in a time of distress.
What do you mean?
I feel everything. And I let it burn inside me. When I'm tired, when I feel hopeless, when I want to just let it all go. I use the pain. I use the fear, the shame, the guilt, the anger. I use it all to keep going. To make sure I continue.
And as I have said countless times in all my playthroughs, this is a beautiful expression of it. You can still do amazing things even when you feel stuff. So if you believe that you have to resolve your feelings or make them go away or only experience the comfy ones in order to push forward in your life and do awesome stuff, you don't. You can do all sorts of stuff while you experience the smorgasbord of human experience. Lune is articulating that beautifully right now.
Lune.
I can almost feel them beside me. Everyone we've lost. Walking with me.
Now, I'm going to let this play out, and then I got some thoughts on what's happening right now, because...
Especially when I use chroma. I feel their presence, their closeness. And they help me.
You feel Gustav.
Okay. Man, Mael bails people out of this stuff.
Yeah, I do.
I'd like to feel him with me too.
You have an affinity for chroma too. Try it.
How do you always know what to do?
She doesn't. Nobody does. Adults are always just shooting from the hip. Kids believe that adults know what they're doing. Most adults have no idea what they're doing. Most adults are just like, I kind of do what works. I shoot from the hip and I walk confidently with my clipboard, but I can only read half of what's on it.
I don't. Want to know a secret? I have no idea what I'm doing. And I don't think anyone else does either.
I love when these moments happen. It makes me so happy. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, hon, you're going to learn it either now or when you're an adult.
Don't tell anyone else I said that.
Oh, God. That was great. Okay. Sciel and Lune spend more time together in a moment that was special for both of them. Oh, it's wonderful. Holy crap. The I love that Lune said that. I think it's so important. I really think it's so important to name those things, especially with like somebody like Sciel who is old enough to understand that. It is honestly probably one of the most profound moments in my life was when I realized that everybody's just shooting from the hip. I mean, I had a sense of what it was, and then when I finally got like my job and was in a different role of it, and then I was like, wow, everything just hangs by a thread. Like everybody's just kind of doing their best. Sometimes their best is not great, and so many things are just on the honor system and are just on us giving each other the benefit of the doubt. And if you're confident, oh sure, we'll take it, man, because you must know what you're doing if you're going to engage it that confidently. Like, it's amazing how much that's the case, and that simultaneously is relieving and terrifying. Like, it's just one of those things where you kind of got to choose which one to engage, because holy shit. Oh my God, Blue, that is one of my favorite memes of all time. The first time I ever saw that meme, my friend and I cried laughing for 10 minutes. It's so perfect. The meme that's been referenced is the dog in the lab coat that just says, I have no idea what I'm doing. It's so great. The thing that I was going to talk about here with what Lune did, which again, Sciel kind of bailed it out of this. Like, Sciel bails adults out of not handling things the way that I would like them to pretty often. Lune got... So here's the thing. Lune is showing herself to be articulate around her emotional experience more than I was anticipating that she would be, which is very cool to see. But the thing that she in particular has to be very careful about as somebody who's maybe not as like refined as Sciel is in it, is she started to hijack that moment just a bit. Sciel approached her in the same way that Sciel would approach Gustav. And then Sciel started talking about her experience, and then her emotions started to bubble up, and then she started to become a runaway freight train. And it ended up being okay, and I'm not trying to be overly critical here, but you got to be really careful. People still infantilize, to some extent, Sciel when she tries to approach them. They see her as younger, and they try to be something for her rather than be curious about her. And this is an experience that so many teenagers have, and it's what makes adults insufferable, is when you're a teenager and you engage adults, so many of them think they're supposed to like pontificate and provide you with something instead of get to understand you at a time that you believe you have an understanding of yourself that you do not have as much as you think you do, but you believe you have it in spades. And nobody ever seems to be curious about you. And Sciel has had multiple instances in this game where she has attempted to engage people about her experience, and then they kind of like, they don't go there in terms of being curious about her. They go to a space of wanting to provide something for her. And she seems to respond to it. She seems to like it. She seeks it out to some extent, as I just talked about with homeostasis. But I would hope that at some point people can find it in themselves to engage her more on a level playing field when she expresses stuff. Because otherwise, if that starts to bother her, it's going to extinguish her attempts to engage with folks when she is distressed. And I really wouldn't want to see that. God damn, what a loaded camp. Oh, you're more.
Thanks. It really was a beautiful place.
Glad you liked it. I've buried friends there too. You were right about condolences. We offered them because we don't know what else to say, but there's no comfort there.
No.
All we can do is carry them with us.
I guess.
He did the same goddamn thing. It's like it's one of those things where it's like it's fine, but it kind of drives me nuts. He does the same goddamn thing that everybody else does when Mael approaches. I want somebody to look at Mael and just be like, "How you doing?" Nobody does it.
Sorry. It's just wet.
Drowning in our own sadness. Hey, why did you join the expedition?
There we go.
I mean, with the Gommage, I understand the rest of the team's decision, but you're half their age.
Out here seemed better than in there at the time.
It's natural. Wanting to escape a life you don't want.
Escape. Yeah. That's what I wanted. But Gustav and the others, they really want to change things.
But changing a life also counts. Can't always shoulder the world's problems, you know? It'll drain you fast.
Gustav would probably say, if more of us cared, then it would lighten the load for everyone.
He sounds like a good guy.
Wait. I kept Gustav's, so you can have mine. You'll need one if you want to be an official member of our merry crew.
I gotta say, I didn't take you for an official kind of person.
Welcome to the disaster expedition.
Thank you.
All right, that's huge. That's awesome. It didn't take a lot. Well, it took a lot, but also not a lot to get that. As much as you know, it's very cool that Mael did that, and I do think it's important to give Verso credit because every step of the way, he respected her boundaries. He did not impose himself. He really spent time trying to recognize what he was working with, and did his best to respond to that. And when he was given direct boundaries from Mael, he respected them. And that goes such a long way. You know, Mael is working through a lot of stuff. Approaches Lune, she gets some catharsis from that, and then takes it upon herself to be like, all right, if I'm going to have Verso be part of this, it needs to be something that I also have a degree of comfort with. And she facilitates that for herself. And this is really why I don't like the infantilization of her, because she is killer. I mean, she really is. And I think you have to take her. There is a part of her that's still a kid and is taking these things in differently. And she is going to require, she's going to oscillate a lot. Like, she is going to require some of that warmth that Sciel in particular is able to provide, and Lune apparently as well. But also she does deserve to be engaged as more than what she appears. And Verso seems most confident in doing that. we will push forward in Part 13. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this playthrough. I hope my thoughts are meaningful. There's like a million things I could talk about. I do my best to try to bring the most relevant thoughts to light. If you like this playthrough and you like the things I have to say, please leave a thumbs up. Remember, I say this every once in a while, I'm not the end-all be-all analysis of this. I realize that there might be things that we learn later on that nullify my analysis. I'm fine with that. The entire point of me doing this is to try to illustrate things in such a way that you might be able to take them and integrate them into your own life. It is not to be 100% perfectly lore accurate with everything that's happening with them. So, your engagement with these videos makes a huge difference, puts me in the algorithm, and it gets more eyeballs on these videos. So please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, come hang out in my Discord, check out the Twitch, come hang out live with me, say hello. Would love to have you here. I know my hours suck, but you know, those of you that make the effort to come hang out, thank you for doing that. And tell people about these playthroughs, share it. It's free to do and it makes a huge difference. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. I know people are averse to doing it. I've started to try to do it for more channels that request it when I watch them a lot, because it's really more important. It's really important for the channel and helping it grow. So those of you that have done that, thank you so much. And if you financially support the stream in any way, whether it's by listening to my music, buying merch, or it's being a member on YouTube, or however it is that you do it, thank you very much for your financial support. It is it's a difference maker in terms of my ability to get this stuff out quicker. So if you are binging, I'll see you right here in the next episode. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, I'll get it out as soon as I can. I appreciate you. You matter. I'll see you in the next one.